Nightwing 134, Legacy number 321. Dan Waters writing with the V. Kenneth Marion on the art again. And no disrespect to Marion, I was kind of hoping he was only doing the one issue and we'd be back to Sai, but oh well. Here we are.
Yeah.
However, there's much to like in here story wise. So it's not all. No, the Marion's art's terrible. It's perfectly serviceable, but it's just not great like the exercise art is. But yeah, Jean is at Titan's Tower, and he's talking about how it was an idea. It was an idea given form to be a symbol over the city. Blah blah. And Babs is there, and Babs is a little bit in the salty side. Like, you sent my boyfriend into the fifth dimension alone. You green prick. I mean, that's not her exact words, but I'm embellishing a little.
That's the tone. She didn't not say that.
Yeah. So yeah, Nightwing's kind of in the Cirque du Soleil, and there's various circus folk looking very monstrous, and he's led by Olivia Pierce holding her own head to the main big top, and the Zanny's got a game that he wants to play. He's like, oh, you know, the children have all been turned into these weird, like, scary looking puppets, just to be really creepy.
He turned them into Midway prizes. like they're all hanging there. They got these big heads, like on a scarecrow, with these little, you know, bodies, and they're hanging from the prize thing. And somebody's like, "We're gonna play a game." I was like, "Oh no, oh no."
I believe the way you meant to say that was, "We're gonna play a game."
Yeah, I didn't want to do the full
Jigsaw voice.
Yeah, there we go.
If you want to save these children.
I almost called him Mr. Saw. I forgot it was Jigsaw. Mr. Saw.
What, so he's Jig?
Man.
Jig's his first name? Is that what you,
yes.
That what you get at?
Yes.
So yeah, it's basically it turns into we're going to throw baseballs at some cans, but the cans in this middle platform that are on this, like, because basically it's almost like a giant pit on this big top, and then just a circle, like a platform in the middle.
Yeah. So it's based off of that Carnival game. They call it Tin Can Alley, but to me, Tin Can Alley was always the one where you throw the baseball at the stacks of like milk cans, right? This one is the one where there's like a table in the middle, and you have to get the ball to stay on the table. So I feel like the Zani is combined those two games, because he wants Dick to throw a ball at this mock-up of Bloodhaven.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing here is the cans are all arranged into the same sort of formation as Bloodhaven, and most of it doesn't really make any sense, but you can kind of see what Titan's Tower is, because it's kind of in a T shape out of some cans. And basically he says, hey, if you want these children to be able to leave, all you have to do is hit more cans than me. But slight little like asterisks on that, a little thing you should know is that anything you hit on this table will also happen in the real world. Meaning that with every ball that's thrown, buildings in Bloodhaven are going to come crashing down. Which I think is a wonderful, scary concept here, because once the Zanny goes first and he's like, I'm going to throw my ball, and it cuts to Babs and Martian Manhunter like just talking in Titan's Tower, and they're still arguing, and then Jean just kind of stops mid-sentence and is like, wait a minute, something's happening. And then it starts like going, the panels of the Zanny throwing the ball, it's going towards the cans, almost like a bowling pin, you're kind of going down, and then it cuts to like the city, and you just see buildings toppling over, and like Babs like grabbing her Batgirl outfit, and Jean looking shocked and like, shit, we have to get out there and help. And then it does the thing where it alternates panels where you see the ball rolling still through the table, knocking down cans, and you just see like buildings like exploding and falling down on fire. I thought this was a like deliciously dark concept.
Yeah. And just the way that the art comes together here with the tin cans, right? And then in the real world, how they're mimicked, right? So like on the top page, it looks like the tin cans falling on top of the other one, but there it's the building falling on top of itself.
Yeah, so
right? It's the angles of the cans and everything.
To explain that, to be like a taller building than the cans, it's one can stacked on top of the other.
Yep.
So because the balls knocked the bottom one, so the top one's fallen over on top of it, the way that's mimicked in the real world is the building's just kind of been chopped in half, and the top half's coming down on the other one. It's super dark. It's great. It's like this invisible force is just knocking down buildings with people in them.
Yeah.
It's like, this is dark as shit.
Oh, and it gets even darker in the following pages. Like,
I mean, because it's like
Columbina gets involved.
Yeah, well, she's like, hey, Nightwing, you have to like throw a ball now, and you won't save the kids if you don't knock down buildings. Also, it is worth mentioning though, the ball that the Zanny threw did destroy Olivia Pierce's headquarters, so all of the mech suits and stuff were all destroyed. I was like, oh well, that's a silver lining, I suppose.
For Spheric, yeah.
So that's something, but it's like, okay, and Nightwing's like, hey, somehow I just know this is true. I know he's right. I know that in the real world, these buildings are coming down, and like Zanny's whole thing is like, yeah, I'm going to break you. I'm going to completely break you, so you'll be my ringmaster, and then we're going to effectively invade the real world. We're going to completely take over, and everyone's going to be in the Cirque du Soleil. So there's a whole build-up with Nightwing sort of try to consider what he's going to do with the ball. The little puppet children all run up to him and start climbing on top of him and biting him. So he goes to throw the ball, and like we cut back to the city and we see like Martian Manhunter and Batgirl showing up to help. You know, Sawyer's on the ground trying to direct traffic in the tragedy. You know, because this is a big deal. Like the emergency services must be going nuts because all this carnage is happening. And then we get the page where the Zanny's smirking all evil, and then it's a panel of Nightwing having tossed the ball, and then the Zanny's face changes to anger as he realizes that Dick did not throw the ball at the table. He's thrown it at him. And then we see the other reveal is that the ball that he threw was actually some of Nightmite soup that he brought with him, the fifth dimensional soup. And it goes straight through the Zanny because, as he explains it, the only thing that can destroy an idea is another idea. So because Nightmite's an idea, it just makes this big hole in the Zanny, and he goes down, and then Nightwing comes over to beat the shit out of him. So it's like, okay, that's like super fun. And like feels like a big moment, you know. So it feels like Nightwing's kind of winning. He's you know, letting all his frustration out. It feels like he's genuinely quite angry. But then Pierce right, says, hey, we are gods here. The Zanny is a god. He helped me. He reached out to me. You're saying he's not a god. I'm saying he is. And I'm going to show you, like, you know, that we can take everything from you. And she throws her own head at the table right at Titan's Tower. Next page, Titan's Tower just demolishing. So Titan's Tower in Bloodhaven is no more. Now, obviously we know that Babs and Jean aren't even in there, right? Like, they got out, but there's one person in there. The kid, right? Nightwing Prime. He is in there in a coma. So the final panel is like him like under rubble looking very, very perilous. You know what? Yeah, obviously I would have loved Dexter Soy here for the art. The art's not bad though.
But it's
the story though is excellent.
Top notch.
Yeah, it's firing on all cylinders. It's like, okay, because I think part of the worry is when you're building up this like mystical enemy, and it's like, oh, we're going to his dimension. Like, what's that actually going to be when we get there? Is it going to be like a weird dream sequence? Is it going to be this or that?
Right.
Framing it around this idea of him making him play this game that actually affects the real Bloodhaven, perfect. Because there's stakes. You see how horrific it is, how scary the villain is for being able to have this power, and then. You know, so there's some nice structure to it, and then you get to see the reaction to all this in the real world as like Babs and the others are trying to just save people, and like they're seeing the shock of like just how do you defend against this? Like just you know, an invisible force just destroying buildings.
Right.
So
yeah,
great.
Well, and the thing that got me is how it's the whole idea of an idea in imagination, right? Like they're in a form of the fifth dimension, right, with the Zanny and whatnot. And it's when Olivia Pierce says, no, he is a god. He inspired me. He pulled me into this. And it's just the idea of the Zanny is not something that's just going to go away, right? Like Dick took him off the board by hitting him with that Nightmite soup, but Olivia is still there. And Olivia does the most damage here at the end, right? By throwing her whole head.
It's making me think it's a little Freddy Krueger, the idea that if people still remember him, he still has power. So they have to kind of make sure no one remembers him for you. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. Even when she throws her head, it's very Nightmare on Elm Street, right? Like I was getting those kind of vibes.
Yeah, I mean, you could talk because assuming he's going to save all the kids, because it would be really dark if he didn't.
Yeah.
You could totally do like a sequel to this in like 10 years' time, where these kids are all teenagers and they're all starting to have nightmares of the Zani. You could just straight up do a Nightmare in Bloodhaven with these kids.
Right? For sure. Yeah, and that's the part that really drove home for me, where it's like, yeah, all the dark fifth dimension stuff with the circus and the Zani, and that's all really good, but it's when Olivia Pierce goes like, no, he inspired me. He made me something bigger. And it's the idea, like, it's really hard to kill an idea. You know, and that's what makes it even scarier. Is like, as long as someone believes in the Zani, he's never truly gone. You know? So yeah. And then all the stuff that happens on the outside, and we get Babs in the Batgirl costume for the first time in a while, right? You know, going around with Martian Manhunter, and all that. So yeah, no, it's Dan Waters firing on all cylinders. And I really think that Marion really raised the level here too with the art. While it can be a little bit cartoony, I think it really hits the moments that it needs to.
I think that's the thing for me that I think I would wish it was Soy again, is that I do think the cartooniness of the faces doesn't quite fit the tone of what the story is. I do think he does a great job with all the stuff with the table mimicking the city and like going between the two. Like that stuff looks great in terms of like telling the story. It's functioning very well. I just I wish it looked a little bit more serious, I guess. But you know, hey, I still loved reading it. It was still a great I'm loving what they're doing with this arc.
Yeah. That page too of the Zani's face, you know, where Nightwing's like, yeah, look at this smile, his joy at having forced my hand, and then like the actual baseball pose. It looks like Marion took a still from a baseball game of the pitcher with Nightwing, and then just the face of the holy shit moment from Zani. Like, oh no, what did he do? It just all over those three panels. It's top notch here. And also the idea of Nightmite. I do appreciate that. The idea of Nightmite being the idea that hurts the Zani is very interesting, because Nightmite effectively is just the idea of Nightwing. So the idea that he's fighting the idea of the Zani with the idea of Nightwing is very kind of thematically powerful. So yeah, a lot of good stuff going on here. What are you giving Nightwing 29? Or sorry, 134. I was looking at the wrong number. I'm giving this an 8.5. I'm also giving it an 8.5. It would be higher with art, you know, being even better. But my slight misgivings with the style of Marion being a little bit house style brings it down to the 8.5. Otherwise, it would be a bit higher, I think.